The stars around planet K27F weren't flickering that night. They were simply gone, blotted out. And at the center of that cosmic emptiness spun a dark, silent world. A stain on reality. A mark the universe didn't seem able to wash off. Commander Lira Vance said quietly on the bridge of the Sol Sentinel, eyes fixed on the glitching hologram repeating the same distorted distress call. The message was mostly static now, but the last two words always cut through, cold enough to freeze her breath. Don't come. But humans always come anyway. The missing vessel, the Astra Cartographer, drifted above the planet, empty and motionless. No lights, no movement, no sound. Every one of its 27 crew members had disappeared as if they were erased in mid-stride. Then the final fragment of the recording played. A whisper, a warning, a fear. Lira sucked in a sharp breath. "Prep a landing team," she ordered. And as the shuttle descended into that lightless world, none of them realized the planet below was already watching them, studying each step before they even touched the ground. What made the entire crew vanish, and why does something down there seem familiar? The ground of K27F disappeared beneath a thick electric fog. Not quite mist, not quite light, something denser, something that felt aware. The fog curled around Lyra's boots as she stepped out of the shuttle. It didn't cling, it observed. The campsite of the missing cartographer crew looked unnervingly normal. Meals still warm, tools wiped clean and lined up with deliberate precision, a chair tipped over mid-conversation, footprints stretched outward into the haze, and then stopped abruptly, mid-stride, as if the walkers had been snatched right out of existence. "Commander," Dox murmured, "behind us." Lyra turned. The fog moved, no, shaped itself, forming faint outlines that matched their posture. When Lira tilted her head, the fog copied the motion a beat leader. When Dax lifted his arm, the fog raised an arm of its own, like mirrors learning how to reflect. Why is the mist mimicking them, and what is it preparing for? The farther they walked, the heavier the air felt. Not dangerous, just watchful. Then the comms crackled. Lyra heard her own voice whisper through the static. She froze. A chill swept down her spine. "I didn't say that," she hissed. Moments later, Dox's voice came through, but his mouth hadn't moved. Something inside the fog wasn't only copying their shapes, it was practicing their identities. The imitations were rough, unfinished, but improving fast. Too fast. What kind of intelligence can mimic human voices instantly, and why does it need them? Down in a shallow ravine, the fog thinned enough to reveal shapes. Dozens of pale, half-formed figures stood perfectly still. Not alive, not dead, just attempts. They resembled humans only in the way a blind sculptor might imagine one. One of the figures jerked its head toward Lyra, twisting too sharply as if still learning how a neck should bend. Its face flickered, trying and failing to lock on to a stable human shape. Carved into the soil beneath its feet were shaky markings. Dax whispered, voice trembling, "These aren't the crew. These are the attempts." Failed attempts. And if these were the failures, where were the successes? If the bad copies are here, where are the perfect ones? Following the trail of malformed copies, they entered a cavern where the walls pulsed faintly as though the planet itself had a heartbeat. Inside was not stone, but structure, design, intelligence. The floor vibrated with their pulse rhythms. The walls brightened when they hesitated. Pathways shifted depending on who stepped forward first. "This place doesn't just scan us," Lyra murmured. "It learns us." A massive door sealed behind them with a thunderous slam. Symbols twisted across its surface, reconfiguring until they formed clear words, the quiet vault. A shiver ran up Dax's spine. It's studying us, he whispered, like test subjects. What does the quiet vault plan to do with the humans it studies? The chambers inside felt like abandoned experiments, endless looping footprints, someone forced to walk until collapse. Pages and scribbled notes written in the cartographer crew's own handwriting. Mirrors that moved a fraction before their reflections. Not a prison, a laboratory. A single phrase repeated across the walls. Dax swallowed hard. The crew wasn't abducted, he whispered. They were interviewed. Lira felt the vault's focus shift toward them, like a predator noticing a fresh heartbeat. If the vault can predict human behavior, can anything surprise it? At the center of the vault, the mist coiled into a column of light and shadow. It tried to take shape, human shape. Faces half-formed, flickering, morphing constantly. Then it spoke, in many voices all at once. It shifted into Lyra's form, then Dax, then the lost captain of the cartographer. The vault wasn't destroying humans, it was downloading them, learning, copying, preparing. But for what? Once it perfects the human form, what happens next? Footsteps echoed from the shadows. A woman stumbled forward, exhausted, terrified, half covered in threads of mist. Captain Rhea Soren. I broke free of the process, she gasped. It couldn't finish copying me. Lyra steadied her. Tell us how to stop it. Rhea's voice cracked. There's only one way. Give it a choice no human would ever make. Something completely illogical. Something it cannot predict. Dax blinked. Our unpredictability is a weapon? Rhea nodded. It only understands patterns. Break the pattern, and you break it. What human action is so irrational the vault could never foresee it? The mimic entity extended its arms, almost perfectly imitating human warmth. Lyra finally understood. Humanity's strength wasn't logic. It wasn't intelligence. It was chaos. She did the most irrational thing a human could possibly do. She walked straight into the entity's core. Dax yelled, Rhea screamed, the vault's walls rippled in panic. The entity froze, unable to compute a choice so reckless, so senseless, so profoundly human. Inside the swirling light, Lyra ripped a pulse grenade from her belt. But she didn't throw it. She set it to detonate inward, a mode no sane person ever uses. The vault's predictions collapsed, its patterns shattered. The blast erased the entity in a blink. The quiet vault began to crumble. If the copying engine dies, what becomes of its creations? Above ground, the fog tore apart like a dream losing form. The imperfect copies dissolved into dust. The silhouettes vanished. The mirrors dimmed and died. Captain Rhea collapsed, finally free as the last strands of mist left her. You saved us, she breathed. But Lyra stared at the silent soil as the vault sealed itself, sinking back into stone. No, she murmured. We just reminded it why humans can't be copied. Dax frowned. Because we're too complex? Lyra shook her head slowly. Because we're too unpredictable. The shuttle lifted into the starlit void, but as the planet shrank beneath them, Lyra felt a cold ripple in her chest, as if something down there still watched, still waited, still learned. The quiet vault had tried to become human, but had one perfect clone escape before it died?